The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, Dr. Fiore, it's all yours.
Thank you. This is Dr. Fiore from Epilepsy at Northeast Regional Epilepsy Group. I'm going to be discussing today the use of herbs and epilepsy. I will not discuss the use of marijuana. I will briefly touch upon that, but I will not discuss it in depth. I will discuss the other herbs and over-the-counter compounds. So herbs and epilepsy, they're also called complementary alternative medicines, and that's how they are defined. They are actually on the rise. They are used frequently around the world. About 40% of the population in the United States uses some sort of a complementary or an alternative medicine. About 65% in Germany, about 20% in the UK. And what's a little bit more concerning is that about 1 in 6 people that take prescriptions take an herb or a complementary medicine. If you move to the older population, about people that are more than 50 years old, about 2.6 use herbs and about 226 use prescription medications. Here there is some more data of the use of complementary and alternative medicines. Less than 40% of patients share with their physicians that they are using an herb, mainly because they don't believe that it's a problem. Let's say somebody's taking St. John's wort or echinacea, and they see it as something natural, something that they buy over the counter without a prescription, so they don't feel that they need to share that information with their physician. There is legislation requiring the regulation of these products in other countries, including Germany, France, Sweden, and Australia. In the USA, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 removed this product from the FDA jurisdiction, and we'll talk briefly what that means in terms of not being under the umbrella of the FDA. So there is some list of herbs that people with or patients with epilepsy will tend to use. The list is long, and most of these don't come in a most of these correction. Some of these do come in a tablet by themselves. Some others come in a combination, like with tablets having multiple of these herbs in it. The ones that are used more frequent are the first on the list, like valerian, skullcap, marijuana, black cohosh, lobelia, kava, and there is a long list of herbs that people believe help their seizures or their epilepsy. So in terms of the frequency of patients taking herbs, there was this paper was published in JAMA in 1998. So the overall use of complementary and alternative medicines in the U.S. from 1990 to 1997, it found that herbs products increased by fourfolds. In 1997, adults 33 million office visits regarding herbal products and high dose of vitamins, with a cost of $8 billion. So basically, these office visits in the entire country were prompted by either a side effect or an interaction with the herb and the medication that they were taking, or just side effects of these herbs. again, 33 million visits were prompted by the use of herbs with a cost of $8 billion. And also this paper published that about 15 million adults took prescription medications, and at the same time they took herbs or high-dose vitamins. Here is an idea of how often people take herbs and which one are the top sellers, if you will. So here you have the top 10 selling herbs and dietary supplements in 2002, and then you have this is in U.S. sales in millions. There is ginkgo biloba first with $150 million, and then you see the rest with echinacea, garlic, ginseng, soy, saw palmetto, St. John's, and valerian. Those are the top sellers. So what about epilepsy? Is there any information that patients with epilepsy do take these medications, and with what frequency? So these are some of the publications that some of the papers that were published in patients with epilepsy. These were in the U.S. and England. So about up to 1 in 3 patients with epilepsy use complementary and alternative medicine. Most do not discuss their complementary and alternative medicine use with their doctors. The herbs that are taken more frequently include ginseng, St. John's, melatonin, ginkgo biloba, garlic, and black cohosh. Again, these herbs are usually taken for either for depression, tiredness, sleep difficulties, to improve their memory, etc., etc. Now, this paper found that the patients took these herbs for these top reasons, because they thought it would help their seizures about 10%, about other symptoms 20%, like I mentioned before, usually sleep, to improve their tiredness, depression, and they thought that it was a good thing in terms of general health to take these medications, about 70% of them. So the vast majority of these patients did not take these medications because a specific reason, because they felt that it was going to improve their general health. Sorry. So what about federal regulations on herbs? Who regulates the herbs? Like I mentioned before, this in 1994, the herbs were removed from the umbrella of the FDA. So the FDA does not regulate herbs anymore. Herbs are classified by the government as dietary supplements. Dietary supplements are regulated by the 1994 Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act. And prescription drugs, for instance, are much they are regulated much with different rigor, and they're under the umbrella of the FDA, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. So again, the herbs are classified as dietary supplements, and they are under the they're not under the umbrella of the FDA regulation anymore. So what are the federal standards for the Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act? So here's the claim that they have an effect on the bodily structure or function, but they do not work against a specific disease. The label on these supplements should say that this product has not been evaluated by the FDA. If you look at this, the bottles of these herbs and supplements, here is an example with just St. John's, and here's kind of blown up. Says this statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So the bottom line is, this is how this Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act is written, that these herbs are not supposed to tell you that they treat a specific disease. They are, this should be on the label and should be disclaimed that these specific herbs are not meant to treat a condition or a specific disease. And also, on the label, you'll find that these are not approved or evaluated by the FDA. So, so who regulates these herbs? Who make sure that inside the bottles are something that humans can actually take or swallow? Well, there are no clear regulations. They are not required to be produced under good manufacturing process standards like drugs. There is no government agency that independently verifies the quality or production of these herbs. And again, this could be contaminated with microbes, pesticides, toxic metals, or adulterated. There is no really a federal agency that regulates the what's inside those bottles. Even more, what's let's say there are multiple formulations of St. John's wort. The potency, the amount per pill or capsule may vary from batch to batch, from bottle to bottle, from brand to brand. Again, these are not standardized products, and they're not regulated products. So from one bottle to the next, or from one brand to the next, there are marked variations of what's in each tablet. So one more time, who controls what's in these bottles, what's in these tablets? Well, what are the standards that are set forth in this educational act that I was talking before? Manufacturers are responsible for the truthfulness of the labeling claims, meaning meaning that whomever makes this product should be truth in disclosing what's on those tablets. There is no government agency that independently reviews and verifies the claims and the supporting evidence. Only manufacturers control the product quality and verify safety. There is no, like I mentioned before, whomever makes this product will disclose or will tell you what's in them. But there is no government agency, there is no system to verify the quality of the product or claim that what's in it works for a specific disease. So what about standardization? How much of the active ingredient is in each of these tablets? Well, no one knows. Let's say a tablet of carbamazepine has 200 milligrams. Well, that's been tested in the lab, and the FDA checks to make sure that a tablet that says that has 200 milligrams actually has 200 milligrams of carbamazepine in it, and it's consistent from batch to batch, from tablet to tablet. Now, when it comes down to herbs, there is no standardization. So an herbal product, what is the active ingredient in an herbal product? It's usually not known. the the amount of the assumed active ingredient may vary from tablet to tablet and product to product. And it's usually not possible to measure levels in blood to guide dosage. So, one more time, active ingredient. It's believed that St. John's wort, the active ingredient is hypericin, typical to 0.3% hypericin. However, if you look at St. John's wort bottles, hypericin is not even listed as an active ingredient. So let me just give you a quick case that illustrates some of these problems. We see this every so often. This is a 40-year-old woman with epilepsy, well controlled on carbamazepine. She was feeling depressed and began to take St. John's wort. She had multiple recurrent seizures and came to the office. She did disclose that she began to take an over-the-counter prescription, an over-the-counter herb, not a prescription. So what's the problem with this? Well, there are multiple herbs, including St. John's wort, that will interact with anticonvulsants. So St. John's wort changes liver metabolism, induces the cytochrome P450 that metabolizes carbamazepine faster, and basically this patient that had been well controlled on it, on carbamazepine, all of a sudden, carbamazepine is no longer effective because it's been metabolized faster and she had a breakthrough seizure. This patient, of course, had no idea that this over-the-counter herb will cause any problems with her epilepsy. She thought that this was a healthy, natural solution for her depression. So it's important to know that these herbs do have active ingredients, and they will have side effects or interact with anticonvulsants or act on the neurotransmitters in the brain. For instance, valerian and kava, they increase the brain GABA and the GABA receptors. Like passion flower, it's an agonist of the benzodiazepine receptors. So let's talk briefly about the interaction between herbs and anticonvulsants. There are multiple of interactions between herbs and anticonvulsants, and herbs could actually cause seizures or could cause unwanted side effects, like, for instance, the combination of valerian and kava with alcohol and barbiturates could cause sedation and coma. Ginkgo biloba and St. John's wort are also known to cause hemorrhagic complications. Like I described before, St. John's wort can lower carbamazepine level, etc., etc. Now, there are multiple herbs, and it's very difficult to keep up with them. However, these are the ones that tend to cause more interaction with anti-seizure medications because of either the liver metabolism or the direct interaction with the anti-seizure meds. Increased side effects of the anti-seizure medications, valerian root, kava, passion flower, and chamomile. There are herbs that actually can cause seizures by themselves. So here's the list. Kava causes GTC from toxicity and withdrawal. Marijuana, skullcap. Mahuan has ephedrine in it, and pseudoephedrine lowers the seizure threshold. Ginseng lowers the seizure threshold. Ginkgo biloba, it's been reported, GTCs have been reported, and it has a neurotoxin called 4-O-methyltiridoxine. Herbs that can worsen seizures, either by lowering the seizure threshold or modifying the how medications work. ephedra, MA1, guarana, possible ginkgo, and ginseng. So this is the ones that most epilepsy physicians should be aware of. That is the worst in terms of, or the bad guys in terms of the interaction with anticonvulsants, especially if the patient is on a medication that is metabolized in the liver, that is prone to liver induction. So these herbs affect the serum concentration of anticonvulsants because of affecting the P450 enzyme system. And like I described before, St. John's wort is the big one, gall leak, echinacea, and there is another, there is a longer list there, but the ones that people take the most are St. John's, gall leak, and echinacea. So it's important to communicate to the epilepsy patients. I kind of do this frequently. I tell them that natural does not equal safe. It doesn't matter what's on the label. It doesn't matter that they're claimed as safe. Patients with epilepsy are particularly vulnerable to side effects, and they're particularly vulnerable to liver induction. So I stress that natural does not equal safe. Herbs and herbal preparations contain many compounds that are sometimes impossible to figure out what's in them. There are these compounds that have black cohosh, valerian, green tea, and this could cause other unwanted side effects like affecting the absorption of different minerals and oligo elements. And these herbs can cause other problems like lobelia that cause respiratory paralysis and death. It's not just, these herbs cause other problems, not just in patients with epilepsy. So this was published in neurology, and this was a list of multiple herbs that were associated with herbs-induced seizures. These were not patients that had epilepsy, but these were patients that the herbs actually caused the seizures. And you see how many cases, 19 cases, and then so these are isolated cases, 16 patients here, and here are the biggest the herbs that cause the problem, or the biggest offenders: ephedra, eucalyptus, ginkgo biloba, sage, starfruit. So so here you have a publication that that listed just herbs causing seizures. So these are some of the supplements that patients with epilepsy use the most. Again, here's valerian, for instance, that we know causes a lot of problems in patients with epilepsy. St. John's wort I already showed you, and you see this is sold as a relaxant. This is ginkgo sold as a memory helper. So this is a supplement that is sold to here in the United States to help patients with epilepsy. So this is the label claims that the Epistill is a 100% herbal formula that contains the following ingredients, and passion flower, skullcap, etc., etc. So, and this, I found this on a blog. This person was saying, hi, I just wondering if anyone has heard of this herbal medication for seizures called Epistill. So basically this is being sold to control seizures. Well, again, they list some of the ingredients. They don't tell you what the active ingredient is. Again, this is I would not recommend this to patients with epilepsy. It has passion flower and skullcap that are known to interact with anticonvulsants, are known to cause seizures by themselves, are known to cause side effects. And again, even though it's a 100% herbal formula like it says here. Again, being herbal does not mean that it's safe. A patient of mine came to me telling me that, hey doc, I want to take this Synergy O2. It's selling like hot bread. It's $50. He told me it's $50 on the street. And I said, okay, so what is it? He says, well, you know, you have to drink this tiny bottle once a day. Seizures get better, energy levels get better. Well, I went online, and it seems that this is just water with minerals. It's very interesting. So there is no active ingredient listed. There is no studies. There is no test showing what is this used for. So needless to say, I told my patient not to waste $50 for this, and since I thought it was not worth it. So the take-home message in patients that want to take an herb or are asking us guidance in terms of herbal preparations and over-the-counter natural products. In any given person, herbs might be helpful, but in most, they are likely not. In any given person, herbs may worsen epilepsy. Herbs definitely can affect anticonvulsant levels. There are no good studies in terms of herbs and epilepsy, herbs and interaction with medications. In terms of one of them might be safer than other. Communication between doctors and patients is crucial. And you know, we need to put this in perspective. There are some herbs that I tend to there are actually one over-the-counter. Let me rephrase that. There is one over-the-counter product or natural product that I actually suggest to my patients to help sleep, and that is melatonin. The rest of the over-the-counter or natural products, I usually tell them no with a big no. I don't agree with the use of any of these natural products in patients with epilepsy. I'm just going to briefly, in 5 minutes, touch upon marijuana because it's not over the counter, of course, but it's felt to be a natural product that could help seizures. So a 27-year-old woman with frequent auras and monthly complex partial seizures who is sensitive to medication asked her doctor about marijuana. She says that her father had refractory epilepsy, had moved to Colorado, where he could get it freely and had been seizure-free since taking it regularly. So marijuana is legalized in multiple states, including our state of New Jersey. Marijuana contains approximately 60 active substances. Primary active chemicals are delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol and delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol and cannabidiol. The mechanism of cannabinoid action, the G protein coupled cannabinoid CB1 receptor. These are abundantly distributed in the brain, cerebellum, limbic system, and cortex. These endocannabinoids act as retrograde messengers at many central synapses, causing inhibition of neurotransmitter release. So, is it effective for epilepsy? Well, there are not many studies. Tetrahydrocannabinol is quite potentially beneficial in partial epilepsy and detrimental in generalized epilepsy. Cannabidiol is more of an anticonvulsant, maybe yes, maybe no. There was one epidemiological study that was old of drug use and new onset seizures that found that marijuana may be protected against first seizure in men. So what about the long-term use of cannabis? What about impaired memory, marijuana, and a motivational syndrome? So a little bit of history about marijuana, first used as an anti-epileptic in the 19th century. Cannabinoid receptors are in the brainstem, limbic system, and cortex. In terms of studies so far, all mixed results. It's interesting that tetrahydrocannabidiol has anticonvulsant or proconvulsant effect depending on the dose and the epilepsy model. Epidemiological studies show that it might be protective against the first seizure in men. It has other potential negative health consequences like cardiovascular or pulmonary and possible withdrawal seizures. In some states it's illegal, so it cannot be prescribed, except in states that where medical marijuana is legal. So there are some people that may benefit from THC. There are some patients that will probably get worse, and other effects of THC are this might outweigh the benefits in most cases. So to close it, this is something that I heard in one of our epilepsy meetings, that one anecdote is worth nothing and million anecdotes are worth nothing, meaning that in order to prove or disprove the use of THC or marijuana in epilepsy, all we need are scientific studies. It doesn't matter how many good stories we hear in the office, and again, anecdotes are worth nothing. We need scientific studies. And thank you very much. That's all.